The next day, after getting back from the accident down in Paksay and going through the bar routine in Vientiane, went back out to the airport and went through physical and also filling out accident report papers, which I did the loss and damage report and also the details of the accident report, which were verified by the helicopters were in the area. Now, in most cases, when you lose an airplane totally, you're not going to be back in the flight schedule for a few weeks while Taipei just mulls over the reports. Now, I had planned on not having a few days to fly, but that night, the day after, the 7th of December, 1972, my name appeared in the flight schedule to fly down to Udorn and up to 20 alternate, flying goods from Pepper Grinder, which was the place that had all the various munitions and things that they needed up there. Oh, this is okay. It's kind of a milk run, really. And next day I took off and went down to Udorn, and surprisingly, they put my co-pilot in the shoot-down along with me. I guess he figured, he needed to get back in the saddle too. And he was really pretty damn nervous, and he was terrified actually. But took a load up to alternate, and when I landed there was one of our 123s that had broken down, and it was crewed by George Calhoun, who was the old boss down in Saigon, and the loadmasters had caught a ride back to Vientiane in another airplane, and his co-pilot had too. But George hung around there because he knew Shep Johnson, who was a customer there at alternate, and they were schmoozing. Now, when I got in there, they took the load off of his airplane and put it on mine, and it was rigged for an airdrop. Well, that's okay. And I asked George, where are we going to be dropping this? And he said, Site 32, up there north of the Plaine de Jars. I said, okay, buddy, that'll work for me. But you want to ride back with me, don't you? Because after I make this drop, I'm going to be going back to Vientiane. And he says, yeah, I'd sure like to do that. And Shep said, I want to go down to Vientiane too. And I said, well, you two guys get yourself a parachute, because I'm not airdropping a load of munitions without everybody having a parachute on. And he said, okay. And they scrounged up some parachutes and cranked up and took off heading for Lima Site 32, which made kind of a circular route around the Plaine de Jars because of the anti-aircraft weapons that were nestled there. Got up to Site 32 and called a customer on the ground, whose code name was Black Lion. And as I got closer, he came on, we're taking fire, we're getting under a mortar attack. And I said, okay, how about I bring you some outgoing for all that incoming you got coming in there? And I lined up for the first pass as a hot drop. And George and Shep were up in the ladder peering into the cockpit and say, we don't have to do this. And I said, yes, we do. They need the ammo down there. And I made one pass, dropped it right in their DZ, and you could see explosions around down in the valley where these rounds were hitting. And came around and made another pass and dropped the rest of the load and climbed out of there, heading back to Vientiane. And co-pilot didn't do anything during the whole thing. He was paralyzed over in the right seat. And this, as later found out, was his last trip in the cockpit of an airplane. He quit right there the next day in Vientiane, turning in his resignation papers. And he took a job downtown for Sino-Brit, which was a ticket outfit. They used to sell tickets on various airlines and things like that. That's okay. That was his problem, not mine. And I'm back in the saddle.